So one of the last components of a website audit that really has to do specifically with the website and probably how it ties into SEO is if you've heard that site speed is extremely important for your website, this is definitely the case. We know that Google takes into consideration how long it takes for your website to load. If it's taking 10 or 12, 15 seconds to load, obviously that's not a good user experience, and Google's going to know that. Even if Google and other search engines don't even acknowledge that fact, the fact that people are pretty impatient, expect things to load very quickly, both on desktop and definitely on mobile, you are going to need a quick website because people are, don't really have time to wait around more than 10 seconds. They're really going to expect your website to load in probably 3 or 4 seconds. So there's a couple ways that we do that. Google Site Speed Insights is one of the free tools that you can kind of hop in, enter your URL, and you'll get a report right away. You'll have a score between 1 and 100. As you can see here, the green is about 90 to 100. It's not super common for a lot of law firm websites to really get that because a lot of them are built on WordPress, and that's not naturally the quickest website in the world. It has a lot of other pros, but that's among the cons. And you'll see a lot of things that are, frankly, very technical. Even if you're a web developer, a lot of these things are just not exactly something that you have to like dig deep into. For example, first contentful paint and first input delay. Those seem a lot like, these are terms that are very relative to site speed. These aren't things that we really take into consideration every single time, especially since the difference between these things is very marginal. So time to interactive, these are just things that are, I think, reference terms for people that are very obsessive over site speed. For CPU idle, these are, like I said, you pass this along to the IT team, maybe they'll interpret for you. I don't have anything to say exactly about these things, but as far as what I know contributes to a slow site speed, remove unused CSS is not going to be one of those things. Render blocking resources not really. Serve images next-gen formats, not necessarily, but properly sized images. That's going to be one of the major things. So if you've ever heard me on podcasts or other videos and some of the blogs talk about what we find to be the top 3 reasons websites load slower, it will typically be because of image sizes being rendered on your page. The size of the images are just too big. So a lot of images people might put on, like definitely in the header and embed within the body of the web page. They could be, 1, 2, 3, 4 megabytes. Typically, we try to keep them at between 250 to 500 kilobytes. I'm not trying to get too technical about every single thing, but just keep that in mind if you want to talk about that with a web developer, IT, or in. Another reason that your website might be loading slowly is because you're on kind of a crappy server. So GoDaddy is pretty notorious for putting you on a slow server with thousands of other websites. Another one could be Bluehost, HostGator. Sometimes we like to kind of recommend just being on a dedicated WordPress if you have WordPress. So we use WPM Engine. I think that Media Temple might be another one that people use. So having just fast server speed is extremely important for site speed, and also it's good for uptime and it's great for server security. And then the last thing would be just having too many plugins. So WordPress is a little bit notorious for, hey, we want additional functionality. We want to be able to have more options to customize our website. Let's install a plugin for this and a plugin for this. And before you know it, you have 40 plugins on your website. You're injecting a ton of code that isn't necessarily necessary, and it really bogs down your website. So keep that in mind. Images, server, and plugins. There's definitely other contributing factors, but I would focus there first. If you're going to have a lower score, you're going to typically see that those are going to be things that get you back on track much sooner than later.